5 years after divorce, an incredible encounter reveals his hidden love for his ex and their ailing community. Jason felt the chill of spring rasp against his skin as he walked home from the factory, the weight of 5 long years pressing down like a heavy mist. The familiar clank of machinery still echoed in his ears, reminders of the shifts he pushed through just to make ends meet for him and his teenage son, Ethan. Somewhere within, the unfulfilled dreams he had once woven with Sarah lay quietly buried, the strands whispering of their lost family. He had watched as their happy life shattered into fragments, leaving behind a hollow echo in his chest. The factory had been his lifeline, a way to drown the pain while offering a steady rhythm to his days. And yet, with Sarah's return for her father's funeral, the fabric of his orderly life began to fray. The night the news came, snowy flakes danced through the air, not unlike the day they first met, the day when everything felt possible. Now, her presence swung like a pendulum, stirring buried memories and heartache with every thought. When they met at the funeral, their eyes locked, and the air thickened with words unsaid. Jason felt his heart race. He recalled the way they used to laugh over simple things. Glistening moments of joy flickered like stars from a distant past. She no longer wore the smile that used to light up his world. A shadow flitted beneath her skin. "Jason," she said as if testing the sound of his name, a flicker of vulnerability crossing her features. He swallowed hard. Her voice was soft but strong, and it sent a bolt of warmth through him. The tension hung between them, charged and electric, igniting the remnants of longing. As the community gathered to grieve and celebrate the life of her father, Jason found himself drawn again to Sarah. They reminisced about old times, sharing bittersweet memories that held laughter and tears like thieves in the night. The very air seemed to hum with their shared history. Yet every chuckle felt heavy with the past, each shared glance, a reminder of love that could have been. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Just as warmth began to seep back into their connection, their small town faced an economic downturn, laying uncertainty heavy on everyone's shoulders. The factory buzzed with whispers of layoffs, each one echoing like a muffled alarm. Lost jobs meant lost lives, and Jason felt the ground beneath him shifting dangerously. In the midst of this chaos, they both threw themselves into planning a community fundraiser, trying to uplift those in need while wading through their own struggles. Slowly, as laughter mingled with shared stories of resilience, their emotional barriers began to slip. Jason noticed the way her laughter felt lighter, how her eyes sparkled when they were together. With all this renewal fresh in the air, he realized he had to confess his heart's truth. Jason stared deeply into Sarah's eyes during a moment that still held promise, the comfort of familiarity pulling them closer. Just as he took a breath to finally speak, an unexpected complication rushed in, sending despair crashing in on him once more. Would they ever really be able to overcome their past, or were they forever driven apart by the currents of circumstance? Jason sat on the porch steps, the cool breeze tousling his hair as he glanced toward the setting sun. He could still hear the echoes of laughter from the fundraiser they organized. It had been a modest success, but it stoked a fire within him that had long been extinguished. Sarah had been radiant that day. Her laughter floated through the air, gripping at his heart. Those moments wrapped around him like a warm embrace, yet they were bittersweet. Every time she smiled, Jason felt a pang of longing, a wish to turn back time. But could they really start anew? He leaned back on the steps, staring at the clouds drifting lazily in the dusk sky. Questions tumbled through his mind like falling leaves. Would she still see him as the man who had hurt her? Dad? Ethan's voice broke through his thoughts, laced with youthful curiosity. The boy stood at the door, arms crossed. You've been quiet. What is going on? Jason turned to meet his son's gaze. The kid was the mirror of his own younger self, brimming with energy and hope. "Just thinking, buddy. About Mom?" Ethan's voice softened. It cut through Jason like a knife. They had always been careful not to tread on too many old wounds, yet here they were. "Yeah, kinda. She's back, and things are different now," Jason replied, his heart heavy. "Well," Ethan hesitated, searching for the right words. "You liked her a lot, right?" Jason paused. The innocence in his son's voice illuminated just how tangled the past had become. "I did, son. I still do." Ethan scratched his head. "So maybe you should talk to her." "Like really talk," he suggested, his youthful determination shining through. "Yeah, maybe," Jason sighed. But could a conversation heal 5 years of hurt? As night pressed in, Jason replayed everything that happened between him and Sarah. The feel of her hand brushing against his, the depth in her gaze that seemed to hold stories untold. It struck him he hadn't just lost her, he had lost the essence of who he was with her. He laid back on the cool wood of the porch, staring at the stars beginning to twinkle. The conversations they had, filled with uncertainty, made it harder to find the way forward. But Ethan's words nudged him towards something deeper, something raw and real. Maybe it was time to face the truth. Names were only as powerful as the stories behind them. He knew he had to take a leap. As he thought about the community fundraiser, the way everyone had come together, he felt a flicker of hope ignite. Jason could feel it, the stirring of something beautiful in the air, ready to emerge if only he found the courage. That night, he slept with restless dreams, painting images of Sarah. Every nuance of her presence felt alive once more in his mind. What if he could reach her? A simple conversation could change the tide, could reawaken their love, but how would it unfold? The next morning, as the sun crested the horizon, Jason felt a determined spark. He made his way to the spot where they had laughed and shared memories at the fundraiser. But as he approached, the sight before him stole his breath. There stood Sarah, deep in conversation with another man. Her laughter rang out, bright and carefree, just as it used to. At that moment, Jason's heart raced, not only from fear but the realization of what he stood to lose. Could their chances slip away again, just as swiftly as it had before? Pushing against the rock in his throat, he took a step forward, ready to confront not just Sarah but the ghosts they both carried. Would this be the moment he had waited for, or would it seal their separation forever? Urged end could be found in more shared laughter or heartfelt moments. Jason hesitated, taking a step back, then a deep breath. The vibrant energy between Sarah and the man stirred discomfort, a bitter reminder of what he lost and how much he wanted it back. But he had to move, to reclaim the time and the love they once shared. With each stride, he focused on Sarah's face, the way she lit up when she was truly happy, the gentle curve of her smile. Yet, the closer he got, the less certain he felt. What if he had waited too long? What if she was happier now, moving on from him for good? Ethan's encouraging words flashed in his mind. "You should talk to her. Act cool," he whispered to himself. But as he drew near, his hands grew clammy, uncertainty clawing at his insides. Finally, he cleared his throat, just as Sarah turned. Her eyes widened, surprise illuminating her features. She looked beautiful, sunlight cascading around her like a halo. "Jason?" she breathed, her voice softer than he remembered. The casual banter with the other man fell away, leaving an awkward silence lingering in the warm air. "Hey," he managed, trying to steady his voice. A flurry of emotions surged within him: love, hope, fear. The stranger glanced between them, sensing the shift, and mumbled an excuse to leave, walking away with a look of curiosity. Jason swallowed hard, facing Sarah without the barrier of a crowd. "I didn't mean to interrupt." "No, it's fine," Sarah replied, her gaze searching his face as if reading a long-forgotten story. For a moment, they simply stood there, the silence stretching like a rubber band ready to snap. Jason felt a wave of nostalgia wash over him. He could remember all the nights spent talking under the stars with her. But now, everything felt fragile, especially with 10,000 unsaid words hanging heavily between them. "The fundraiser, it went well," she said, breaking the tension but warmly. "It did. We got fortunate," he nodded, desperately wanting to dive deeper. "You seemed happy." "Happiness comes in waves," she replied carefully. "Sometimes it's there, sometimes." She trailed off, looking down, her words heavy with unspoken history. "Can we talk? Like, really talk?" he blurted, the urgency spilling from him. His heart raced as he added, "I've missed you." Her eyes flickered, caught between surprise and something deeper, a hint of longing that mirrored his own. "Missed me? What I mean is, I've been thinking about us." Jason stepped closer, chasing away the doubts. "We're not the same people we were 5 years ago. But I do believe there's still something between us. A chance to understand each other better, to maybe start fresh." Sarah took a deep breath, the uncertainty brimming in her eyes. "I don't know, Jason. So much time has passed. And I've changed." He felt a pang, but amidst that fear, hope emerged. "I've changed too. I've realized that letting go it didn't mean I stopped loving you." A flicker of vulnerability crossed her face, and Jason felt it, a connection sparking anew, yet they both held back, hesitating at the brink. The moment drew out, heartbeats echoing in the space between them. Jason could sense the potential for healing, but would Sarah decide to take the leap with him? Before she could respond, the sound of laughter erupted nearby, pulling their attention outward. He felt a rush of urgency. This conversation could shift everything for them unless it slipped away before they knew what to say. "Can we at least grab coffee?" Jason asked, his voice tender yet firm. "Just you and me, no pressure." Her silence said everything, the hesitance and hope dancing together like two stars colliding. Would she take that step with him? Would they find a road back to each other, or let this moment pass them by forever? Sarah hesitated, her gaze drifting momentarily toward the bustling cafe just down the street. Jason followed her eyes, feeling the weight of their shared silence pressing down like a hot summer afternoon. The world around them buzzed with laughter and chatter, but in that moment, everything faded. It was just the two of them, standing on the brink of possibility. "Coffee sounds nice," she finally said, her voice soft yet determined, the flicker of hope igniting something warm in Jason's chest. "Really?" he asked, trying to hide his surprise but failing miserably. Her small smile encouraged him. Encouraged them both. "Yeah," she replied, biting her lip, "let's do it." As they walked side by side, every step felt monumental. Jason struggled to find words that wouldn't dissolve the fragile connection they were rebuilding, but excitement bubbled beneath his cautious exterior. The cafe was cozy, filled with the scent of roasted coffee and fresh pastries. They settled into a little corner table, a sanctuary from the chaos outside. Jason couldn't help but notice the way Sarah's fingers danced nervously around her coffee cup, a subtle reminder of the days when comfort came so naturally. "So how have you been?" he ventured, keeping his tone light even as his heart raced. She paused, eyes glancing downward as if seeking the right words intertwined with the swirling patterns of her latte. "Busy, mostly. Work has been a lot. I guess I thought I was handling everything. Are you?" The question lingered between them, deeper than either of them expected. She looked up, eyes holding a flicker of vulnerability. "I thought I was happy, Jason. But sometimes, it felt like I was just going through the motions." Jason's heart ached for her, realizing that some of the same feelings pulled at him too. "I know what you mean. I thought moving on would be easier. But there was always this emptiness that lingered." Sarah's brow furrowed slightly, and Jason saw the shadows of their shared past dance in her expression. "I thought time would heal everything," she confessed, her voice trembling just a bit. But maybe it just made me wish we could have talked like this sooner. Me too, he admitted, leaning forward, urgency spilling from him. I never stopped thinking about us. About the good times. Those moments still matter to me. Her gaze locked onto his, and Jason felt a shift in the air, a bridge being built where there was once only chasms of pain. I didn't want to believe that it was over, she whispered softly. His heart pounded in response. It doesn't have to be. The door swung open, and a rush of laughter flooded in. A young couple walked by hand in hand, clearly in love. Jason watched them closely, a surge of memories flooding his mind, dates filled with laughter, quiet moments of warmth under starry skies. He wanted that again. He wanted it with her. Do you think we could try? Jason asked, the weight of the question palpable in the air. Sarah's eyes widened, uncertainty battling with that familiar glint of hope. I don't know, Jason. What if we can't return to what we had? Maybe it's not about going back. Maybe it's about moving forward, together this time. He searched her face for an answer, the desperation curling in his chest. The warmth between them crackled in the air like electricity, but just as he felt a flicker of connection sparking alive, her phone buzzed aggressively on the table, jolting them back to reality. Sarah picked it up, her expression shifting to concern. I have to take this. Okay, he watched as she stepped outside, her figure disappearing into the busy street, uncertainty filling the space she left behind. Jason ran a hand through his hair, his mind racing. They had been so close to something real, and now uncertainty clawed at him. Would she come back? Would they still have a chance once the conversation resumed? As he fidgeted, waiting, he couldn't shake the feeling that the moment of truth was closer than either of them realized. But now, he needed to embrace whatever came next and hope Sarah would walk back in, ready to take that leap. With him. Jason's foot tapped nervously against the floor, the rhythmic sound almost drowned out by the cafe's soft music and distant chatter. Each passing moment felt like an eternity. He glanced out the window, searching for Sarah among the throngs of people moving about with purpose. The sunlight glinted off the pavement, highlighting the vibrant life outside, while inside his heart felt still he was frozen in uncertainty. The sound of laughter from the young couple outside felt almost like a taunt. Had they ever felt this kind of heaviness after a break? Would they too wish for a second chance? The thought knotted in his stomach, and he couldn't shake it. What if Sarah had left for good? Just as these thoughts threatened to pull him under, he caught sight of her silhouette approaching through the glass. Sarah returned, her expression unreadable, her phone still clutched tightly in her hand. She slipped into the seat across from him, exhaling slowly, and the heaviness lifted just a little. Sorry about that, she said, a breathless quality lingering in her voice. Work stuff. That's okay, Jason replied, leaning in slightly, sensing the lingering tension. Everything all right? She glanced down at her cup, swirling her coffee absent-mindedly. For now, I guess. But there's always something, isn't there? Her eyes flicked back to his, words hanging unspoken between them. He nodded, the weight of her sentiment settling around them. Yeah, it never really stops, does it? For a moment, silence enveloped them again. It felt safe but charged with the weight of unaddressed emotions. He noticed her biting her lip, a habit that seemed all too familiar. What do we do now? She finally asked, vulnerable yet steady. I think. Jason hesitated. It felt monumental to utter the next words. I think we start by being honest. Like, really honest. She nodded slowly, and the gravity of the moment pressed deeper. Okay, she said, her voice stronger now. I can do that. Her honesty gave him courage. I've missed you, Sarah. The real you. Not just the shadow of us from 5 years ago. Her eyes widened a fraction, surprise flickering across her face. I didn't know you felt that way. I thought leaving was the answer. It wasn't tea for me, he admitted, his pulse quickening. Every time I thought about moving on, I couldn't tea. There was just this gap, this emptiness that wouldn't tea go away. Slowly, Sarah reached across the table, her fingers brushing against his, sending a rush of warmth through him. Do you think we can really try again? Jason felt hope swell inside him but couldn't deny the fear lurking beneath the surface. It won't be easy. We both have scars. But I'd like to try if you're willing. Tears glimmered in her eyes, and for a heartbeat, time stood still. I don't want to rush into anything, Jason. But there's a part of me that wants to believe it's possible. Then let us take it one day at a time, he suggested, the tremble in his voice revealing how much this moment meant. They shared a tentative smile, the air around them shifting. Just as they began to lean into this new path filled with tentative hope, Sarah's phone buzzed again. She lifted it, casting her gaze over the screen, her smile faltering. I need to take this, she stammered, stepping outside once more, and Jason felt the sudden chill of solitude envelop him again. The door closed behind her, and an unsettling sense of dread filled the space. What could be so important to pull her away from this moment? He glanced out the window again, the street bustling with life, but it felt different now. All the laughter, all the chatter felt muted, a backdrop to his growing anxiety. Jason's heart raced as he waited, grappling with the questions spiraling through his mind. What if this was just a moment? What if they weren't meant to reconnect after all? And as the door remained closed, the uncertainty weighed heavier than ever, leaving him with a single thought: could they truly overcome the shadows of their past, or was it all just a beautiful illusion? Jason's thoughts spiraled as he sat alone in the cafe. The warmth of Sarah's fingers against his lingered like a fading echo, and he wondered if he had misread everything. The cheerful chatter around him was now a murmur, almost mocking his solitude. He stole a glance at the door, willing it to open, willing her to return. Outside, he could see her silhouette, animated, deep in conversation. It stung more than he expected, each laugh she shared with whoever was on the other end of the line feeling like a distance growing between them. Silence filled the cafe as moments turned into minutes. Jason stifled a sigh, his thoughts gnawing at him. What if she didn't want to come back? What if she had changed too much, moving on so effortlessly while he remained stuck in the past? Anxiety twisted in his chest like a heavy weight. The door swung open again, and Sarah stepped inside, her phone still in hand, but now her expression was different, flustered. She shuffled back to her seat, her cheeks slightly flushed. Sorry about that, she said, a nervous laugh escaping her lips. My boss is a real piece of work. Everything all right? He asked, desperate for a glimpse of the connection they shared moments ago. Her smile faltered, fear creeping into her eyes. For now, yes. But there are some shifts in the company. I might have to take a different role, or even. She hesitated, gripping the edge of the table. Look for something else. Jason's heart sank. His instinctive reaction was to ask if there was anything he could do, but instead, he nodded with sympathy. I know how stressful that can be. Just don't let it overshadow everything else, okay? She looked at him, those once bright eyes dimmed, and he felt another layer of tension between them. I want tea, but it's hard to keep a balance. You know? He did know. Life had a way of complicating everything. You're stronger than you think, Sarah. You've handled so much before. You'll figure this out. A moment of silence hung heavy between them. She inhaled deeply and exhaled as if trying to release the weight of her worries. I wish I had your certainty, she whispered, her voice barely above the din of the cafe. I'm just trying to keep it together, he admitted, feeling a rush of vulnerability wash over him. Honestly, I've been scared since I saw you again. I didn't think I could still feel this way. Surprise flickered across her face, and for the first time, there was a spark of hope that ignited in her eyes. What do you mean? He leaned forward, his heart pounding. I mean, seeing you again has made me realize how much I miss you. Not just the past, but the person you are now. I want to give us a shot, but I worry about the realities of our lives pulling us apart again. I want that too, she replied, her voice softening. But my job, my future, it feels like everything is spiraling. Just then, a loud crash echoed from behind the counter. A barista had dropped a tray full of cups, shattering the quiet tension. They both jumped, nerves fleeting momentarily as laughter broke out among the patrons. Jason took a deep breath, suddenly aware of how vulnerable they both were, precariously balancing their hopes and fears. How do we make this work? We have to address the present if we want a future. She considered his words, tapping her fingers anxiously against her cup. I guess we start with honesty, right? Opening up about everything. Not just the happy memories but the hard stuff, too. He nodded, feeling the weight lift just a little. Yeah, and that includes trusting each other through all the uncertainty. Their gazes locked, an unspoken agreement binding them. Just then, the cafe door swung open again, a gust of wind blowing through, and Jason turned instinctively, half expecting an interruption. As he turned back, he noticed a flicker of worry flash across Sarah's face, and it struck him, what if the call she had just taken was worse than he realized? What is it? He asked, feeling the tension tighten instantly. She hesitated, her expression shifting as if grappling with her next words. It's just something I didn't want to bring up yet, but it's about my mom. There's been news. Jason's breath caught in his throat. This revelation felt seismic, shifting the ground beneath their tentative connection. His heart raced as he asked, what happened? The shadows of their past loomed larger. There was so much at stake now. I don't know how to say this, Sarah started, her voice trembling. My mom's health isn't good. We found out last week that she has to undergo some major treatment. It's all happening so fast, and I'm scared. The gravity of her words settled heavily between them, a stark contrast to the possibility of rekindling their connection. Jason felt his heart plunge, not only for Sarah but for the life that had been whirling around them like the autumn leaves outside, beautiful yet chaotic. I'm so sorry, Sarah, he said, leaning closer, trying to bridge the emotional distance that had stretched just moments before. That's really tough. A tear slipped down her cheek, and she hastily wiped it away, as if she could erase the raw truth that was invading their little bubble. I thought I could handle it, but now it feels like everything's crashing in. I'm here for you, he promised, forcing himself to maintain eye contact, knowing how critical it was to be present in this moment. Whatever you need. You don't have to go through this alone. She smiled faintly, but the worry in her eyes didn't dissipate. You've been through your own struggles too, Jason. I don't want to lean on you too much when you're still trying to find your footing. But there was a fire that had ignited in him since their conversation about honesty. It's okay to lean on people you care about, Sarah. That's what relationships are about, right? Supporting each other, no matter what. I guess, she said, a hint of relief breaking through. My mind is racing. What if things get worse? What if I have to move back home? Will we lose what we're trying to rebuild? The fear in her voice echoed his own anxieties, and Jason shook his head. We can face all of that together. We'll figure it out as we go. Let us not rush into the worst-case scenario just yet. It was then Jason realized how deeply he wanted to be part of her life again. How the thought of losing their connection before it even solidified felt unbearable. What if we started a list? One for both of us. Things we want to do, goals we want to reach, even the hard stuff, like how we'll handle what's going on with your mom. What do you mean? She asked, her brow furrowing slightly, but curiosity replaced the heaviness in her gaze. Just places we want to see together, things we've missed, and maybe a plan for any challenges. Like if you do have to go back, we'll figure out how to stay connected. How often we can talk, or visit. She considered this, the tension in her shoulders easing a little. That doesn't sound so bad. It could help me focus on what matters instead of getting lost in the chaos. Exactly. His excitement began to bubble up. We can set realistic goals, and who knows? It might even give us something to look forward to amidst everything. A small smile spread across her face, and it hit him her smile was the one thing he had missed the most over the years. Okay, let us do that, she said softly. Then, with a playful nudge, she added, but you need to think of some fun and silly things too. Like ice cream flavors we've never tried. Jason laughed, the sound feeling light and fresh. It was a welcome distraction. Deal. I'll think of the coolest flavors, but you're responsible for the serious stuff, like how to keep my ice cream from melting all over my hands when we're out. Fair, she chuckled, the warmth in her eyes returning. But just as moments of lightness began to take hold, Jason's phone buzzed on the table. He glanced at it, and suddenly the carefree atmosphere unraveled into anxiety once more. Hold on, he said, attention now divided as he picked up the screen. It's my sister. When he looked back up at Sarah, her laughter had faded into concern again. It's about your mom, isn't it? As Jason's heart began to quicken, he felt the world shift beneath him yet again. I don't know yet. I'll get the details. He could see it in Sarah's eyes, the weight of the moment drawing their realities closer, spiraling them into a shared uncertainty. Are you okay? She asked softly, genuine care lacing her tone. He nodded, but inside, he was already bracing for impact. Whatever faced them, they were standing at the edge of unknown territory. As he answered the call, Jason couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning of a storm they'd have to navigate together. Would they come out stronger, or would the waves drag them under? Please let it not be bad news, he murmured, holding on to hope as the voice on the other end picked up. As Jason answered the call, he struggled to focus on the words on the other end. His sister's voice was faint, but the urgency was unmistakable. Jason, it's about Mom. The doctors found something, and they want to talk to us as soon as possible. His heart pounded. Fear bloomed in his chest, suffocating him. The laughter with Sarah felt like it belonged to another life. Okay. I'll be there, he managed to reply, his voice barely above a whisper. He ended the call, and the silence hung heavy between him and Sarah. Her eyes searched his, mirroring his growing dread. What did they say? She asked, her concern transforming into tension. They want us to meet, he said slowly, feeling the weight of each word. It doesn't sound good. Sarah's heart raced in sync with his, and she reached for his hand. Jason, I wish I could go with you. I know how hard this is. Her grip tightened, and for a brief moment, it felt like a lifeline. His mind raced. He could ask her to come, but the thought of exposing her to this pain felt wrong. I'll be okay. I just need to figure this out first. She nodded, but disappointment flickered across her face. Just promise me you won't go through this alone. Her voice wobbled slightly, revealing how deeply the moment affected her. As Jason stood, his decision solidified. I'll call you as soon as I know more. We'll keep our list, I promise. With that, he hurried out of the cafe, the autumn wind biting as it swirled around him. His thoughts raced as he drove, images of his mother flooding his mind. She'd always been a rock for him, even in the toughest times. Now, the prospect of losing her left him feeling unmoored. He arrived at the hospital, his heart thudding louder than any drum. Entering the waiting room felt like stepping into a different world, sterile and filled with hushed voices and anxious glances. He spotted his sister, Jenna, pacing nervously. Hey, she said, her voice shaky. I was just talking to the nurse. They have a room ready. We can talk to the doctor soon. Okay, Jason replied, swallowing hard. He could see the worry etched on her face, the same fear that coursed through him. "What do you think they'll say?" Jenna shook her head, and Jason could see tears brimming in her eyes. "I don't know. I hate this." As the time passed, anxiety wrapped around them, twisting tighter. Every minute felt like an eternity until they were finally called in. The doctor sat solemnly at the table, and Jason felt his stomach sink as he took a seat across from him. "I'm afraid we found a tumor," the doctor began. "It's serious, but we have options." Jason's breath caught in his throat. Options? How could that be enough? He glanced at Jenna, who sat frozen in shock. Though the doctor outlined treatment plans, Jason struggled to absorb it. The fear of his mother's future consumed him, and he knew that despite what lay ahead, he would bear this burden. He had to. Later, as they left the room, Jenna gripped his arm. "We're going to fight this together, okay?" But as heavy as her words were, Jason felt an inexplicable weight pile onto his shoulders. They were in for an uphill battle, and he wished more than anything that he didn't have to face it alone. He thought about Sarah, her unwavering support, her willingness to share this burden. "Jenna," he started, then paused. Could he ask her to stand by him again, as she had done when they were young? Would they even be able to pick up the pieces once everything was in turmoil? As they made their way to the parking lot, determination crystallized in Jason's heart. "I need to reach out to Sarah. I think she can help." With every step, Jason felt the weight of their situation, intermingling with a sense of hope. He knew they were stepping into unfamiliar territory, not just for his mom, but for their own lives as well. But he couldn't shake the nagging idea that the path ahead would take them deeper into their fears and possibly bring them face to face with long-buried feelings. What would happen when Jason finally confronted the truth about how deeply Sarah had changed him? And would they find a way through this storm together, or would their emotional ties be torn apart again? The car ride home was silent, filled with a tension that felt almost tangible. Jason's thoughts were tangled, flitting between memories of his mother and the uncertainty that now loomed over her health. The grit of fear made it hard to breathe, but there was also a flicker of resolve deep within. He needed to talk to Sarah. When he pulled into the driveway of his childhood home, it seemed smaller than he remembered. Familiarity tugged at him, but the weight of the unknown held him back. He stepped inside, greeted by the scent of musty air and the comforting chaos of home family photos on the wall, a half-eaten clutter of mail on the table. Lovingly mundane details that felt foreign to him now. "Hey, I'll be right back," he called to Jenna, who was already on the couch, her face buried in her phone. He needed a moment to himself, to breathe and gather thoughts that felt like they were spiraling away from him. In his old room, the walls were still painted a soft blue. He sank on the edge of the bed, staring at the ceiling. Would this be the last time he sat here? He had so many memories, yet they felt laced with the looming shadow of what could soon be gone. He pulled out his phone, fingers trembling slightly as he dialed Sarah's number. Each ring felt like a small eternity. Just when he thought she wouldn't pick up, her voice echoed through the speaker, bright yet distant. "Hey, Jason. How are you?" He paused, the weight of the moment crashing over him. "Hey, Sarah. I could really use your support right now." "Of course. What is going on?" The concern poured through her voice, instantly calming him. Taking a deep breath, he steeled himself. "It's about my mom. They found a tumor." He choked on the words, the reality hitting him hard. "It's serious." Silence fell on the line, heavy and profound. Sarah was weighing her response, and he braced himself for her reaction. "Oh no, Jason. I'm so sorry. How are you doing?" "I don't know, I'm scared. I feel like I have to be strong for everyone, but I don't want to do this alone." The honesty was dizzying. "You don't have to be strong all the time, Jason. You can lean on me," she said, her voice wrapping around him like a blanket. He felt a warmth flood through him. It felt familiar, yet so disarmingly intimate. "Can you come over? I need someone who knows me. Someone who can help." There was a vulnerability in his request that surprised him. "I'll be there as soon as I can," she replied, her determination evident. After hanging up, Jason felt lighter. There was no guarantee that Sarah could fix things, but simply having her nearby soothed the rumbling storm within him. As he walked back into the living room, he found Jenna scrolling through her phone, her eyes glazed with worry. "Did you talk to her?" she asked, her voice shaky, but with a hint of hope. "Yeah, she's on her way," he said. "Good," Jenna nodded, trying to muster a smile. "We're going to need all the support we can get." Her words hung between them, true but fragile. They could feel the tumult brewing beneath the surface, the urgency of facing the battle ahead. It wasn't just about their mom, it was about them too, how to navigate the choppy waters ahead and figure out what it meant to lean on each other, even when it was hard. The doorbell rang, jolting him from his thoughts. Jason exchanged a glance with Jenna, both of them feeling a swell of unspoken emotions. They were standing at the precipice of something transformative. When he opened the door, Sarah stood there. She looked as if she had walked right out of a bright memory, her eyes pregnant with concern yet fierce with determination. "Hey," she said softly, taking a small step forward. "Hey," Jason replied, feeling the intensity of the moment grip him. But as they stood in the doorway, there was something unspoken between them, a flutter of realization that this moment was just the beginning. Would their shared pain draw them closer, or would it uncover fears they had yet to face? As he stepped aside to let her in, a quiet question echoed in his mind. Could this shared struggle open the door to truths they had buried long ago? And as Jason faced Sarah, he knew their journey was just starting, a journey that might lead to healing, or possibly heartbreak. As the door closed quietly behind Sarah, Jason felt a surge of emotion wash over him. She stepped into the chaotic warmth of his childhood home, her presence illuminating the dim light of uncertainty swirling around them. They stood in the kitchen, the air thick with unspoken tension. "You okay?" she asked, her voice soft yet carrying the weight of someone who understood fear. Jason nodded, though his heart was still racing as he played the conversation in his head, the impending challenge that loomed over his family. "I just got the news about my mom," he admitted, his voice shaky. "They found a tumor. It's serious." He looked away, unable to meet her gaze, afraid of the vulnerability he felt creeping in. "God, Jason, I'm so sorry." Her tone was laced with genuine concern, and he could see her processing the reality he had forcefully laid bare. "Do they have a plan?" "We'll talk to the doctors more tomorrow," he replied, striving to maintain an air of firmness. But he took a breath, gathering the fragments of courage he held on to. "That's not why I wanted you here." Sarah's brow knitted together. "What do you mean?" "I need your support, not just for my mom," he said, stepping closer, allowing the seriousness of their situation to hang in the air. "I need you to stay with me, to help me navigate everything. I can't do this alone." Her eyes flickered, a spark igniting behind the evident worry clouding them. "Of course, I'll stay. Whatever you need." She stepped towards him, extending a hand, and warmth spread from her fingertips to his. It was comforting, a reminder that amid the storm, he wasn't truly alone. Suddenly, the moment felt different, their previous fears mingling with the hope of rekindling a bond that had long been dormant. Jason's breath caught as he realized how deeply he wanted to open up, to let her back into the crevices of his heart that had been sealed off. "I know this is heavy, and I didn't want to put this on you, but I feel this push every time I see you." He took a chance, pushing against the walls he had built. "Being around you again reminds me of everything that was good. And I want to face this battle with you at my side." Tears glimmered in her eyes as she squeezed his hand tighter. "I've wanted us to have this second chance, too. But I also don't want you to feel burdened by my presence." "Sarah, you're not a burden. The opposite. You give me strength I forgot I had, he said, his voice steady, grounded in honesty. Let us promise each other we'll lean into the support we'll need. This road ahead won't be easy, but together we can find our way. A smile broke through her worried features, softening them. Together, she repeated, and Jason could sense a renewed light between them, sparking the shadows of their past. They grew comfortable in the little moments, a shared silence, a mutual understanding. But beneath the surface, unacknowledged fears still swirled. Jason, can I ask something? Sarah's voice trembled as she took a step back, loss and longing flooding her expression. What happens once this is over? Where do we stand? His heart sank at the weight of her question. He opened his mouth to respond, then thought better of it. It was a struggle to articulate everything he felt. The connection they were re-establishing felt fragile. I think we take it one day at a time, he finally said, steadying his voice. We face challenges as they come, keep growing together. And if needed, we'll reevaluate how we want to move forward. Right. Just one day, she echoed, her voice almost a whisper, but the seriousness anchored their exchange. Jason mustered a smile, realizing this was the honest dialogue they both needed. Let us start by mapping out everything we want to accomplish together. Just like we talked about. Okay, she said, a hint of mischief in her tone. You first. Ice cream flavors we've never tried? They both laughed, lifting the heavy weight of uncertainty from the moment. For the first time that day, the air felt lighter, filled with possibility. In the days that followed, Jason and Sarah leaned into each other, turning the chaotic moments from the hospital visits into shared laughter over coffee runs. They explored ice cream shops, making spontaneous stops that brought back flickers of joy where sorrow had threatened to linger. Each step brought new revelations, old wounds began to heal as they laid bare their vulnerabilities. Long talk stretched deep into the night, and sunsets became their shared moments of peace, their fears and hopes ebbing and flowing like the tide. And slowly, through everything they faced, Jason was reminded of the deep love that still resided within. In witnessing Sarah's strength, he found comfort and inspiration. They confronted the uncertainty of their futures together, and as concepts of family shifted with the ongoing storms, the raw honesty they built fortified their hearts. Finally, standing on the porch overlooking the sunset, Jason turned to Sarah, finally sure of the next words he wanted to say. No matter what happens, I want you in my life, Sarah. I want you as part of this journey. Sarah smiled brightly, tears collecting in the corners of her eyes. Me too, Jason. We'll figure this out together one day at a time. And in that moment, the world felt right, vibrant, as warmth wrapped around them like a blessing, coaxing them toward brighter tomorrows. So, the path ahead was uncertain, but with each step taken together, Jason felt the weight of hope ground him, guiding them forward, binding their stories anew amidst the beautiful chaos of life. This is your moment. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm that keeps us going. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this ending. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You need to show your support.